Welcome back to Relative Conscious. My name is Antonio Brown.
Irvin Bryant.
Shout out to DJ for making our beat.
At DW Made That on social media.
And follows on social media.
That's at Kind of Woke. Kinda Woke. KINDA. Either underscore or a period, depending on the platform. Woke. Hit us up, follow, like, subscribe. Relatively Conscious on YouTube and everything else. And hit us in the comment section. The question is America racist? Just straight up. No interpretation. Let us know right now. Don't hesitate. Yes or no. And why?
We'll talk about the originator of the comments, Tim Scott first. Real quick, just some background information I don't know. Tim Scott's the only Black Republican senator. He's from the state of South Carolina. He wrote a policing bill to local municipalities body cameras after the George Floyd incident. It didn't get passed. Democrats and activists were against the bill. And then recently he gave a response to Joe Biden's State of the Union. It wasn't a technical State of the Union because all of Congress wasn't there because of coronavirus. But, I'm going to call it State of the Union anyway. He gave the response to Joe Biden's speech. In it, he said Americans are racist. And so it was a big to-do about it. And so, I've been talking about Tim Scott. And basically, there's two ways to view him. So we'll talk about the first way and then the second way afterwards. But first, Tim Scott's a Trojan horse, basically. And so the Republican base needs a culture war. They need the fight over, things that are race-based or, the Mr. Potato Head is a culture war subject, and it's more about LGBTQ stuff. And then there's Dr. Seuss, which even isn't a real issue. But anyway, Tim Scott can fight the culture war without being seen as racist, right? So if you're a white, educated person in the suburbs of Houston or Atlanta who voted for Romney but now voted for Joe Biden, Tim Scott, he doesn't come off as racist as Lindsey Graham or other Republicans. And so Tim Scott can do what the base needs, but he's not seen as racist. And therefore, that makes him a good candidate for 2024 for either president of the Republican Party or vice president of the Republican Party. They run a candidate in 2024. Do you think that works? Do you think that could work?
Well, yes and no. To quote Three Stacks, the GOAT. Basically, the Trojan horse idea is kind of great. I hate it, and they've been trying to do this for a long time. They've run for at least a decade, trying to boost up Black candidates in the Republican Party. And they generally are uninspiring. So, they don't have any kind of magnetism. They don't make any real headway. So it's kind of a non-issue. But with Tim Scott, because of the racial reckoning, because of Black people gaining prominence, progress in general, the racism end of the culture war is not tenable. And Trump really blew up their spot. It's like it's kind of hard to hide it when you got a guy like him at the front. So now that it's out in front of everybody, it's on Front Street, and Black people are confronting them about it. Oh, well, here goes a Black man. And he doesn't even think it's that big of a deal. But, so good plan. I'm vibing. I see what you're talking about.
One thing I would say real quick is that unlike the other people they ran, like Herman Cain wasn't a U.S. senator. Nikki Haley is another person who could probably be a Trojan horse. But the other people they ran who were Black or try to run who were Black, they didn't have the amount of power that Tim Scott has. He is a U.S. senator. So he's
actually accomplished and competent.
Yeah.
At least in getting elected. And so what I'm saying is, though, all these things are true. But guess what? That base elected Donald Trump, which means they're not fond of color. So Tim Scott may have everything that the Republican establishment wants. He can just get it done. He would be a great candidate if within the Republican Party they still weren't racist. Like, they don't want to appear that way. Nobody wants to appear that way. I don't think. Very few want to appear that way. There are the race realists and identitarians of the alt-right who are like, there's fundamental differences in our DNA and stuff like that. They're weirdos. Most white people don't want to be called racist. It's a bad word. Blah 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 blah. But it doesn't mean they don't still hold those opinions. And even if Tim Scott says the right things and this, that, and the other, if it's Tim Scott against Don Jr., let's say, hypothetical, it's too easy.
Yeah, my thing is that Tim Scott is not Donald Trump, and so he doesn't capture the imagination that Donald Trump did, right? So it is very weird how Donald Trump captured the imagination because he's not he's not a good speaker in the way that we think of like Martin Luther King or actually let me use like Bill Clinton or even Ronald Reagan. He stumbles over his words. He is funny though. But Donald Trump captures the imagination, the fact that he is rich. He literally sits on a gold toilet at Trump Hotel. And so he is he captures imagination in a different way, basically, right? And so you need these same people to come out and vote for Tim Scott. I just don't think he does it, right? Don Jr. Much more is in the vein of Donald Trump. Now, I think Tim Scott could be a Ted Cruz. I think he could be the Lindsey Graham. But if Donald Trump is running in 2024, which he said he's thinking about doing, or if Don Jr. runs 2024, that's a hard thing for me to see Tim Scott beating him. Also, I don't think he's, the culture war at its very base is about believing in America in a certain way and seeing in a certain way. And, I don't know how Tim Scott feels about immigration, but I don't think he's going to talk about it in such a way about, these people aren't American. These people are changing America, right? He may say we need protection, we need security at the border. But in that way, Tim Scott is more of a conservative Democrat than he is a Trump Republican. Does that make sense? He doesn't.
I guess on those issues that'd be true. Yeah.
Yeah. He doesn't like to be Republican. I think on these issues, you have to get into the nitty gritty of identity politics, and I don't think he goes into that. Right.
Basically, what it sounds like to me is that it's too little, too late. Like if you'd have threw Tim Scott out there before Trump, maybe the QAnon base would not have had their taste for crazy satiated yet.
Yeah,
but it would have been a time enough, like forgetting that contingent, would have been time enough to correct course and say, we're not going to do the race stuff anymore. And then, now we're on this more centrist American values, blah, 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 blah. But now that Pandora's box has been opened, like, I don't know if they can turn away from the race stuff and all the identity politics. And what was Marjorie Taylor Greene had given credence to the replacement theory recently.
Get into the replacement theory though, like this.
Oh, okay. Yeah. I was like, yeah, you're looking at me like you don't know what I'm talking about. Marjorie Taylor Greene was like, there's a great replacement going on. Our demographics are changing. This is a lightweight white supremacist theory wherein and black people low-key believe a similar thing. We don't like to admit that we are the same as these people, but when it comes to conspiracy theories, shout out White Doug from SNL's Black Jeopardy.
Yes.
Yeah, we're more alike than we like to admit. Anyway, America's majority white. It is, according to Nazis, a white country for white people. It kind of was at first, but we the people and all that,
Yeah.
created equal, blah 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 blah. So we're all here mixing it up, and they're like, whoa, the mixing is too much mix.
Yeah,
too many Asians, too many brown, too many black. White is the majority, but it's a shrinking majority.
Hold up. Most people under 15 years old majority of them are no longer whites, and
that's it.
Yeah,
you see these darkies. These savages from foreign lands have come to. We built this beautiful shining city on a hill. All this white, all this corn. Look at what we did. Wheat everywhere. Cows. Who did it? We did it. Okay. Guns. That's us. Nobody does guns like white people. We made this beautiful country, and y'all brought y'all monkey ass over here and had all these babies. And now you're going to replace us and try to take over it. And you know what you're going to do? You're gonna do what you did to the hood, and you're gonna turn into a bunch of crack houses. Not on my watch. Okay.
That is hilarious.
This is a replacement theory. I am dramatizing, but I'm also not, because they
Yeah.
really do believe that everybody who's not white is backwards. The white man gave you civilization, and if y'all come in and take over, y'all are gonna turn it into Africa.
Wow, that's interesting.
I'm not. Africa and Central America, South America. Not Europe. So
Interesting. What about Russia though? That is the whitest of the white, and that country's all messed up. Oh, that's socialism. Never mind. Yeah, never mind.
Yes. It took me a second.
Yeah. That's hilarious. And I guess Tim Scott can't get elected in those people's mind, because even if he is, a Republican, he's still a replacement.
Now, that is one thing about Republicans. They're pretty strategic. So
Yeah.
I'm like, well, depends on who you're talking to. But see, he'll hold the like abortion and trans lines, like those are big culture battles.
But is that enough for them though?
Hold those lines. If I'm single issue, you got me. Because for Democrats, it's purity test. You got to pass all of them. You can't just pass one. But for Republicans, they've been passing one the whole time. I just care about the border. I don't care about nothing else. I do not want more of these Latinos moving in from Central and South America. If Tim Scott's going to do that, he himself is dark, and that scares me. But he's going to keep the demographics in check. Boom, I'm done. Because Biden wasn't going to do that. Kamala's not going to do that. So
interesting, very interesting. I guess we have to see what happens in 2024. I just think that what probably was going to happen is that they're going to elect somebody else, maybe Don Jr., maybe Donald Trump. I don't think Ted Cruz. I think Ted Cruz loses Tim Scott. Ted Cruz has a rude awakening coming, but people don't like you. I don't think he knows that, but people do not like Ted Cruz. Even his own, what John Boehner call him? John Boehner call him
Lucifer.
Yeah, Lucifer in the flesh. Yeah, so,
yeah, it's like really, yeah. People hate him.
Do not like him. Yeah, so I think Tim Scott's gonna lose to somebody else like that, but I think it's a real easy choice as vice president. On a vice president debate, when him and Kamala have the debate.
There you go.
Yeah, now
that's
that's the interesting debate. If I get Mike Pence and Tim Scott on the same ticket, I covered all my bases there. I got abortion,
Christ.
I got LGBTQ rights, I got everything else. And then when you talk about somebody being racist, here's Tim Scott to say we're not racist. So works very well. Now, the second thing that Tim Scott may be, and I think this is more sinister. Tim Scott is agent of chaos. He is not a strategic Trojan horse. He's an agent of chaos.
So he's like Tulsi Gabbard.
Almost, yeah. So basically, Tim Scott gets up there and he's a legislator first thing, right? And so as a legislator, he's talking about things that don't pertain to legislation, right? So when I talk about race in the police and things like that, that is not a legislative issue, but I can talk about it as a legislator, right? And then I say, I'm anti-BLM, anti-defund the police, right? All these other things. So first, Joe Biden gets up there his speech. He talks about Black people in a way that our parents are used to hearing people talk about Black people, right? So if I'm Bill Clinton, I talk about I want to pass healthcare, right? Or from Joe Biden, I'm doing community college. These things are for Black people, but I don't say it's for Black people straight up, right?
Right.
But Tim Scott gets up there and says, Joe Biden's trying to defund the police. He's trying to do these other things, right? Which are straight up Black people issues. And then BLM looks to Joe Biden like, well, how come you aren't doing stuff for Black people? And Joe Biden's like, well, I'm doing these other things that are for Black people. No, you didn't say it's for Black people straight up. So it's not for Black people. Tim Scott's anti for Black people stuff. So why are you not for Black people stuff straight up, right? And as I said in that voice memo I gave to you, BLM is anti-strategic and just dumb. And so Tim Scott is throwing a grenade into a room. If I just throw him in there and I close the door, look at what happens. Because now Joe Biden has to talk to the activists. He's got to talk to the people who he doesn't want to deal with. Because Tim Scott got on TV and said America is not racist. And so now I want to, as an activist, I say America is racist. And since Joe Biden's the man I voted for, you got to do things to make it not racist anymore.
Yeah, basically, it's if I'm gonna try my hand at a metaphor. My mother has worked in the dental industry for like 3 decades or something like that, ridiculously long amount of time. And so, in cleaning people's mouths or children's mouths, but they use them on adults sometimes because y'all are nasty. Disclosure tablets. It's the little pink thing you chew on, and it colors your teeth and it shows where they're not
Yes.
clean.
Yes.
Yes. He's a disclosure tablet. Because see, if I'm doing purity test, I'm going for every spot and speck, any stain.
Yes.
And so I would just walk past like America's not racist. Like there wasn't even a question on my mind. I wasn't thinking about like this sentence, America is or is not racist. Me and Joe Biden are both trying to exterminate racism. So we're good. I wasn't even worried about that. But now disclosure tablet, I see these little specks of pink on your tooth. You think America is not fundamentally racist to the core? Oh, now I gotta purify you. Purity test, bounce. Kamala, get out of here. And yeah, you can do that on so many issues. It's really remarkable. And of course, it doesn't hurt Tim Scott because he just introduces the subject. He just says America is not racist. And so now me as a purity tester on the left, I'm looking like,
well,
what you gonna say, Joe?
Yeah, what do you think about that, Joe? And so Joe's going to say, I think Americans get better. We can do all these other things. And the thing about that I think is really important is that when Ben Shapiro talks about race and police and everything else, nobody listens, right? So like, it is not something that the left hears.
Yeah.
They make jokes about him, my joke. But when Tim Scott, who's a legislator,
he's important.
He's important. I have to listen to him. CNN has to run his speech against Joe Biden's State of the Union address. And so now I'm like, well, legislators talking about this. So this must be legislative issues. Because Ben Shapiro's talking about just like is podcast issues, is TV stuff. But as a legislator, so what can we do about legislation on this issue? Because apparently Tim Scott is against some form of legislation. So what is it, Joe? What are you going to pass? But there's nothing there. So like defund the police.
Oh yeah, exactly. That's the worst part.
Yeah.
When you first said that, I was like, huh? But yeah, that's part of the plan. It's just I can make stuff up.
Yeah.
Because my people don't care. They don't care if I'm lying. And then wow, it's amazing how he's shouting fire in a crowded theater like that.
Yeah, because like I can talk about defund the police, which he did in his speech. But Joe Biden said nothing in his speech about defund the police. He didn't say.
He's been asked about it multiple times, and he does not. He said, "I don't like." It's astounding the stuff they pin on, like Joe in particular.
Yeah,
like the riots and things. Joe really told people to stay at home every single time. Like even most recently, Dante Wright, he was like, "Yo, do not riot. Like, don't do that. You're gonna get arrested."
But I can see that on Joe Biden. Because I'm a legislator. So if I say it
every single time.
Yeah. And so I think the problem the Democratic Party has is that one thing is too big of a tent. I know we only have a two-party system here. Adding a third party probably wouldn't work very well. Only if you add 6, then you probably get what you need. But adding a third party seems to always mess up. But I think the Democratic Party is just too big of a tent. There's too many things going on under that one tent. And so as you saw in a 30 people debate about stuff, you got just a lot of different ideas on there. And so Joe Biden is a moderate, he's in the middle, and so but the activist is a part of that tent, and they are part of the tent.
And the far left is its own party. They really do have separate
ideas. The way they think of the world is completely different.
It's truly, it has come to the point where if you don't conceive of the foundation of the country the same way, then you have a different political ideology. If you're a radical in any respect, you don't belong to the same ilk as Joe Biden, and that's fine. But like, you're just not on the. It's funny because you're on the same side. It's like both of us want to attack racism and spread the vaccine and fix immigration, but we have drastically different ways of doing those things.
Yeah.
Economic inequality. we're not going to do this the same way. You want to do reparations? I'm not doing that with you.
Yeah. You're talking about, it's like if we're talking about chili or barbecue in Texas, brisket needs to be good enough to where it don't need any sauce.
Absolutely.
Anywhere else you're talking about barbecue, you're talking about barbecue, and anywhere else in the country, Kansas City, Memphis,
yeah, you're talking
about sauce. And so we're just on two completely different ideal planes here when we talk about barbecue. Like, I'm like, barbecue needs to be good enough, fatty enough to where I don't need any sauce. And everyone's just like, what are you talking about, Texas? Sauce is the main thing we talk about. We talk about barbecue. And I think you're saying when we're talking about reparations, we're talking about K-12 education, we're talking about higher education, anything else we're talking about, Joe Biden's on a completely different level with everybody else. Or the main Democratic Party tent, the squad being something different. But
they're their own party as well.
Because of that, now the squad has come out and said America is fundamentally racist. And now the activists have to get on these podcasts and be like, America is fundamentally racist. Let me tell you about our track record. And then because Joe Biden's a leader, he said this in the debate against Donald Trump. In the debate against Donald Trump, it was smart at the time. He's like, I am the leader of the Democratic Party. And so whatever I believe and I stand for, the Democratic Party stand for it.
Yes.
But the problem is he is not the Democratic Party. He may be the on paper, but like Ty Lue was the coach of the Cavaliers, but LeBron was in charge, right? And I feel like Joe Biden's the same way. He may be on paper the president of the United States of America and the leader of the Democratic Party, but the people who are in charge it seems to be.
Well, the people, they aren't in charge because they're not going to make policy.
Yeah.
And so it's crazy because he's very correct and very incorrect.
Yeah.
Because he will write the laws. He's going to sign executive orders. He's going to authorize, provided anybody pass a law, he's going to put his signature on it.
Yeah.
But so he is the man. That's true. And if y'all want to talk about reparations and he doesn't want to sign it, it's not going to happen. But the temperature of the party operates entirely independent of him. It's and we've been saying this about the Republican Party, and I guess now that Democrats are in power, it's all the more clear, as it was with Republicans, that it's a fork in the road. Because there's the radical racist weirdo conspiracy theory QAnon stuff, and then there's like the church, the typical Republican, church lady Dana Carvey SNL stuff, and then there's Joe Biden, Uncle Joe, and on the other end, Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez, constantly beefing with Nancy Pelosi, gonna lose her mind. Like just constantly coming behind her and making a statement here or correcting the record there, or whatever political steps she has to take to maintain the front that her and Joe Biden are trying to put up. So just leave the party, or something's got to change here.
Well, see, and then again, I would consider Ocasio-Cortez, the other fork in the road, because I think she could still be in the party, but I think she's being pulled by people who got her elected, right? So the activists who really put the money and did the footwork for her.
Right. People do villainize her and make her like some this weird idea and not an actual person. But what you're describing, that the people who, New Yorkers, who have very wild ideas that would never work in Texas, that won't work in West Virginia, and they're Democrats nonetheless. But like in Houston, we like Democrats. We're not doing none of that stuff.
But even in Houston, we're seeing the same stressors, because Sylvester Turner is a old-fashioned stalwart of the Democratic Party in Texas. He was a state representative. He's now the mayor of Houston, the third largest city in the country. But like, he is of a different time, of a different era. He's the type of guy, would you believe, like, okay, I can elect I can let the police chief, we can act some changes, we can do some things on the margins. But the activists are like, no, get rid of the police department altogether. Like, it doesn't need to exist. And to Sylvester Turner, and you go to his office and say that, he's like, what are you talking about? This is the Democrats I know. This is not the same thing. We're not operating the same way. I still believe government is a good to an end, and you're operating in a way that we're like, there needs to be totally separated altogether. And that's where Tim Scott, I think, because the Marchetta Green had given the address and she had said the things he said, it wouldn't have mattered because Marchetta Green, there's a replacement theory, she's insane. We don't really they stripped her of her ability to even build any committees in Congress, right? But Tim Scott is a U.S. senator. There's only 50 of them. And he is one of the 50. And so he is a man with power who, if I throw him in, he is, like I say, throwing a grenade into a room. And the Democratic Party is doing exactly what he wants them to do. Like his speech was, I think the Trojan horse theory is a theory that he's just there to give the base what they want, but still be a Republican. I think that's a more positive spin on what he is. But I think if you want to be more sinister, then this is what his goal is. What the goal is for him to be is to tear the Democratic Party apart, because I'm going to say things and force Joe Biden to have a conversation about it that he doesn't want to have. If he became the 2024 nominee for the Democratic Party, for the Republican Party, his goal would not to be to say, old-fashioned Reagan stuff. It would to be to fight the culture war and force Joe Biden to go on record about the culture war, make him say these things, about Mr. Potato Head, which is a dumb thing that Joe Biden does not want to deal with,
Right.
I want to spike out of all of that and be like, that's not legislative. But now I got a U.S. senator talking to me about this BS, and I got to make a statement and say where I stand on this.
Because Americans actually care, surprisingly enough.
Why do we care though? Why do we care? We shouldn't care though. Anyway, I don't. What is the role Joe Biden should take? So I see this and I see it's a bunch of landmines. I don't know what he should do. But like, if Joe Biden was to call you up and be like, Irvin Bryant, what do you think I should do about this? What is your answer besides the shock you have that Joe Biden's on your phone?
He needs a team of people who I don't know who they are, but this is a hypothetical team that he needs, because I think it's beyond him.
Yeah.
He's pretty old and he's really doing what he knows to do, which is pretty good. He's a pretty good president so far. But he needs a crew of really efficient political minds who understand the racial social justice dynamic and understand how to feed it those little crumbs that the Republicans feed their radical side. So one thing we talked about in a previous recording was Juneteenth as a federal holiday. I've done something for Black people. That will not solve the purity test problem.
Mm-hmm.
But on racial issues, I have something explicit.
Yeah.
Like I have credit. I have to buy. He has to buy what he can, because some things he simply cannot do. At least maintaining his political perspective, maintaining his centrism, right? Because that's a huge strategy for him to win, is to be able to appeal to those in the middle. So without losing that, I can sprinkle in this, and I don't even know how you would. I don't know, something about LGBTQ and trans rights, and something about immigration, and we're making progress on the environment. So
yeah,
he's made those steps, and so like just the incremental thing, because he can't just start changing the game, because he loses his Joe Biden aura. And how to make those small steps, I don't know, but he needs the consultants from who know the depths of the far left and know how to appease, which is rocket science. That is rocket science.
Is it community college that though? Because the infrastructure bill he has on the table is free community college. So like, I went to community college. I did dual credit at community college at Lone Star. It's very good community college. I think it's one of the best in the nation. And I would say that the classes I took there, my general studies classes, smaller class size. If I went to UT into the general study classes, I would have been in algebra with 100 people. Instead, I had 30 in my classroom, so I could talk to my teacher one-on-one. It works very well, and it's cheaper. So like people talking about student loans, he had solved the problem for the future. Because most people, when you talk about student loans, it's like, all right, if I forgive student loans, what happens to people going to college right now? But I do free community college, you get there, go to UT, you only got to pay 2 years worth of that. So that's $25,000 a semester. And you're only paying $100,000 basically. So, but why isn't that the crumb? Because it should be the crumb. It should be what we hold up as this is what he's doing for black people.
That's why you need somebody who knows. That's why it's an insider. I don't know the answer.
Yeah, because to me it seems like Joe Biden has done it.
Like for police reform, Joe doesn't know what to do. Like policy wise, especially from the executive.
Yeah,
he doesn't know what he can do, and to pacify that, I mean, beats me.
Yeah,
but there's got to be some kind of crumb, because the investigations, that's Obama era, investigating police departments who are consistently corrupt, consistently racist. Obama did that. What's the new stuff?
But see,
that's old news.
But they didn't give Obama credit for that. Charlamagne the guy sat there and talked to Obama as if he was down bad and doing it for us. And Obama said, "Well, I investigated these police departments," and they're like, and I'm like, that was huge. We can go back to that and pull it out, because you and I did debate in college. But like, if we're talking about police stuff, I have paperwork from the DOJ. I just talk
the most official.
Yeah, the most official thing out there, and that's not good enough. So I feel like it's a if Joe Biden was to call me, I'd be like, bro, you can't appease them.
I mean, he's got. So the cycle will start in 23, the election cycle.
Yeah,
summer 22, I guess.
Well, 22 is going to be midterms, and then 23 is going to start basically.
Yeah. So beginning of 23.
Yeah, he claimed he started his candidacy in March of 2019. So,
he has 2 years, basically. Unfortunately, he doesn't get his whole term. He's got 2 years. And so, the answers have not revealed themselves yet. Though, I mean, this Juneteenth idea,
yeah,
it's time to write a letter. But he's got to start sprinkling in the little tidbits for them to nibble on and hopefully sustain their allegiance to the Democratic Party.
My thing is that last thing, the op-ed, as I always talk about them, the Democrats love to write op-eds for each other. Ain't nobody else reading what you're writing but Democrats. So I don't know who you're writing for.
It's kind of like academia, just writing papers and books just because.
But see, like, academia would be like putting out knowledge. Like, I am creating something. But like these op-eds would be like, it's why the $15 minimum wage needs to be passed. I read this back in 2012. It's 2020. Why you write this again? But anyway, I don't know why op-ed world hasn't written about why community college is like the best thing you can do for Black and Hispanic students, low-income students. Like out in Cleveland, they need that. I need that to get that, I can get a welder's license and go do something else in my life, right? Or in West Virginia, in cold country, where I'm not trying to get Black lung, give me free community college so I can get a some type of certificate and do some of my life other than that. And I don't know why op-ed world hasn't written that. Instead, I want to write an op-ed about why America is racist and Tim Scott is wrong. What are you doing with your life? Why is that what you're doing? Joe Biden's trying to do, he's from a different era where politicians were like, let me do something concrete and then people will like it. And he's starting to find out that that's not what it is anymore. It's about the set dressing,
Yeah.
And that's, I think he's losing his mind because he's like, this doesn't make any sense whatsoever.
I'm actually doing things. I'm trying to help people.
Yeah.
We haven't had that in 4 years. What do y'all want from me?
Yeah. And they're like, nah, Joe, you gotta do the other stuff. It's the fluff.
Abolish the whole police, Joe. all of them. They're all bastards.
Yeah. And even California's not doing that. That's the funny thing to me. Y'all make it Caitlyn Jenner as a governor.
Yeah.
And y'all not doing the abolish the police. That's the most Democratic state out there. Or New York City, y'all about to get a very moderate in Andrew Yang as your mayor. So what's funny to me is that all these purity tests, all these wars y'all fighting, and y'all have gotten Andrew Yang, Joe Biden, and you may get Caitlyn Jenner as your governor. It seems like this is not working. This is losing. Anyway, my name is Thomas Brown.
Perfect. I'm Brian.
Peace.
Do it to 'em deep.